In this video clip, we will look at double angle formulas. Let's see what we have learned before. We have learned is that the sum formula of sine, the sum formula of cosine, and the sum formula of tangent. What was this formula? For tangent, we know that's tangent alpha plus tangent beta over y minus the product of tangent alpha times tangent beta. So we will go back to look at this formula. Now, let's look at the one right here. The first one is the one we learned before. That's the one right here. Okay. Right here is that if we let the alpha equals beta, then what do we get? Then what we get will be this place is alpha, this place is alpha, and this place is alpha. So this alpha plus the alpha here, we then have a sine 2 alpha, alpha, and then this alpha replace beta, so you have a sine alpha here, you have a sine alpha cosine alpha plus here is cosine alpha, and then this one will be sine alpha because again they are equal. You may then replace this beta with alpha. But you know, sine alpha cosine alpha, sine alpha cosine alpha, then you can add those together. You know, those two commute. Cosine alpha times sine alpha is sine alpha times cosine alpha. So those two basically are the same. Then you combine those together because there is a 1 here, there is a 1 here, then it's going to be 2 times sine alpha cosine alpha. So that means sine 2 alpha equals 2 sine alpha cosine alpha. Okay. All right. That gives us what? That gives us the formula right here. Okay. That will be sine 2 alpha equals 2 times sine alpha cosine alpha. So this is the double angle formula, one of them. Okay. Similarly, let's consider cosine 2 alpha. Cosine 2 alpha, we got to consider is the one right here. So we may let this one be alpha This one is alpha. This one is alpha. This one is alpha. So alpha times alpha will be cosine 2 alpha. Cosine alpha times cosine alpha, then we know it's going to be cosine alpha squared. These two. And then minus, remember, minus sine alpha squared. Okay, you see right here is sine alpha times sine alpha. Sine alpha times sine alpha here. So remember here is what? Subtraction, this symbol. So cosine alpha goes first. Cosine alpha squared minus sine alpha squared, which is cosine 2 alpha. Remember here again is negative. If it's plus, then cosine alpha plus sine alpha squared will be 1. That's Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so the sign plays a very important role in the double angle formula. So we got this formula, which will be what? Which will be the one right here. Cosine alpha squared minus sine alpha squared. Okay. Now, then we look at tang, as we promised before. We know for tang, you want to move the one we did before. Let me get this one out. So then it will be like this. Again, you do is you replace. Let me use the red pen this time. So you replace this beta with alpha. What do we get? Then you have a tang alpha plus tang alpha, which gives you 2 tang alpha. And then minus 1 minus tang alpha is tang alpha squared. So here again, you replace the beta with alpha. So here what you get will be tang 2 alpha. Okay, so that's the double angle. You double angle alpha. Now, is tangent 2 alpha equals 2 tangent alpha divided by 1 minus tangent alpha squared. That will be the one right here. Okay, so then we are clear about the double angle formulas for 1, 2, 3. Now, let's figure out another 2 forms for cosine 2 alpha. Look at this one more time. We know, double click on that. We know that cosine 2 alpha is the one right here, which is the one right here. Okay, but by the Pythagorean theorem, you may have a 1 minus sine alpha squared is cosine alpha squared. You know why this is the case? is because what? Because we have a sine alpha squared plus cosine alpha squared is 1. Okay, so that's why right here we have a 1 minus sine alpha squared is cosine alpha squared. Okay, then you do is that you may combine minus sine alpha squared minus sine alpha squared. You then get that. Okay, so that will be the first form. Not this one, 1 minus 2 sine alpha squared. Okay, and also this time we may keep is the cosine alpha squared right here. Okay, there. We may keep is cosine alpha squared in this case. And then we have by Pythagorean theorem, we have a sine alpha squared is 1 minus cosine alpha squared. Okay, and then this negative 1 distributed to 1, so you have a minus 1. Negative sign is distributed to cosine alpha squared. Here is negative, here is negative, so you get positive cosine 2 alpha. And then positive cosine 2 alpha positive combined with cosine alpha squared. That's how you got 2 here. So 2 cosine alpha squared minus 1. So that will be the one right here. Okay, so that's basically the proof for the double angle formula. So double angle formula for cosine has 3 different forms. One is cosine alpha squared minus sine alpha squared. Another is if cosine alpha squared goes first, you double that, minus 1. And then if you need sine alpha squared, then you put it behind. That's 1 minus 2 sine alpha squared. Okay? Okay, next time we'll do some exercise. So see you later.